shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Behave yourselves!
Hello YouTubers out there, this is Jerry Saravia at the movies. So this is a brief video on David Lynch. I just did a video 2-3 days ago called Remembering David Lynch. And now it's, I have to say, I've not been this affected by a movie director's death since Stanley Kubrick. And even Stanley Kubrick, like, I didn't really get emotional about it. I felt sad that he was gone, because he was certainly, in my mind, look, there are directors like Martin Scorsese, certainly Stanley Kubrick. I mean, there are many great ones. And losing someone like Stanley Kubrick at the end of the 1990s was just, something just seemed off that would happen when it did, and he was only 70. And so we lost David Lynch, 78 years old. So I'm still kind of processing this. So there are a couple of reasons, but the first thing I'll bring up is this movie, which I have to get on Blu-ray at some point. I am trying to make a concerted effort for any film that I consider like the film of a particular decade, or at least one of the best films of a particular decade, I should have a Blu-ray. And certainly Mulholland Drive is to me the best film of the 2000 decade. Absolutely, without question, it's Mulholland Drive. So, on occasion, Mulholland Drive is one of those films that, I mean, I've seen it many times. I saw it twice in theaters, back when it came out in 2001. And I remember my mother even saw it twice in theaters. Like, I don't think she ever saw a single David Lynch film more than once in a theater, so it was interesting. This was quite a phenomenal film. It was almost like a rebirth for David Lynch, in a sense, at that time. I've seen the film several times, and then sometimes I look at selective scenes. And I've been doing that for the last few nights. I looked at some scenes from Blue Velvet. It's funny, you get so caught up you want to keep watching, which I mean I could have, but I just wanted to see just some scenes, and then some scenes from was it Blue Velvet, and what else did I see? Lost Highway. So then a couple of nights ago, last night actually, I saw Mulholland Drive, just some selective scenes, and the one that always gets to me is Rebecca Del Rio, you know, the Silencio Club, where Naomi Watts' character and Laura Harring, her character, they go to this club at night, and it seems to be a theater inside. It doesn't even really look like a club, like it's kind of a strange place, but then again, it's David Lynch, so it has to be a little off about it. And you have a presenter who looks like a wizard, you know, not a wizard, a magician. He looks like a magician. And he is talking, but he says, this is all a taped recording. No hay banda. There is no band, and yet you hear a band. Listen. And it's just, that scene alone, that's like vintage Lynch. It is just so perfectly realized, and so much like something Lynch would conjure up. I mean, nobody else could conjure up something like that. So that is then followed by Rebecca Del Rio, who is the singer, who is an actual singer too, despite it being a taped recording. And she sings Roy Orbison's song Crying, but in Spanish. It's called Llorando. And no matter how many times I've seen it, like the first time when I saw it in theaters, that scene, everybody was just stunned. Like, you could tell it was molecular. Everybody was affected by it. I didn't hear people crying, which would have made sense, but hence the song, but it got to you. I mean, it went right through your soul. It's just, to me, I mean, you talk about cover versions of songs, that, it just has an emotional vibe that Roy Orbison's song does not have. I mean, you got to at least admit that. And that scene, every time I've seen it since, just makes me cry. I can't help it. It's just so affecting. So that made me cry. But then I saw the end of the film, and it was a scene headed right back into the Silencio Club. So Naomi Watts' character has offed herself. And you see a superimposition of Naomi Watts and Laura Harring wearing her blonde wig over the city of LA. And the music by Angelo Badalamenti, the late Angelo Badalamenti. It takes you, I mean, his music has always helped to underscore the emotions in David Lynch's films. So you start to feel it like a real loss. And then it's back to the club with the blue light, and then you see the blue-haired lady on the balcony, which you see earlier. And she says, Silencio. And I have to tell you, that was the first time that I just started crying. I just couldn't help it. And even now, it's still, I don't know how to process this. And the only reason I can't process David Lynch being gone, I mean, I never met the man. I've seen him, of course, in various interviews, but I never met him. He has just been such a part of my life for 40 years, 40 plus years. So it's like losing a friend, knowing their art is now gone. And you felt it. I mean, every film of his is just so memorable. You feel as if it's just a part of you. You know, and Stanley Kubrick also had that effect. And so does Martin Scorsese for me as well. But David Lynch is just so sad because he was a guy who, you know, he wanted you to feel empathy for people who you normally wouldn't meet, or you felt maybe they would be freaks, or just, I don't know what it is. He tapped into something about people that regardless of their, let's say, antisocial behavior, it was still a part of you. And that's the other reason. It's just that, and the fact that his films just, you know, I mean, it's been over 40 years that I've been watching his work. And I always think of David Lynch. I mean, David Lynch is just a name that always came up, no matter what. Every few years, something would come up. You would watch another one of his films. Then there was Twin Peaks. You know, and Twin Peaks certainly revolutionized TV shows forever. Forget Seinfeld. I mean, you know, certainly those are benchmarks. But Twin Peaks, I mean, who the hell made something like Twin Peaks prior to 1990? Of course, nobody really made anything quite like Seinfeld prior to 1990, but that's something else. But Twin Peaks, it seemed to be set in some other world. I mean, what is this? This was no normal murder mystery, which is how the show starts, right? With the death of Laura Palmer, wrapped in plastic. And there was never a show like that before, ever. And yet, because of its influence, and then you had the X-Files, and then you started to get a lot of these type of shows that could very well be described as Lynchian. So Twin Peaks being a part of the 1990s, plus the movie Fire Walk With Me, which I think has since become a cult movie. It was certainly despised at the time. A lot of people did not like that movie at the time. The Cannes Film Festival, it was a horror show, apparently, I mean, when they screened it there. But then again, he wasn't always a Cannes Film darling either. Wild at Heart won the Cannes Film Golden Palm Award. And some people booed that, but that happens a lot. So his film was just too radical. I mean, a lot of movies, his films were too radical. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. I'm still dealing with his loss. I just feel that I need to show my appreciation on this channel for somebody that was such a unique voice. I think that's the thing that really gets to me. You know, we have a lot of directors who, you know, can be termed as visionaries, and others who just do a good job making a film. And but this is a man who, he told stories his way. He in a sense, you know, if you really think about it, he really did change the form. It's just nobody understands what that form is. Because it's just so uniquely different from anything else. And it was mainstream. That's the thing. A lot of his films were picked up. I mean, Mulholland Drive, I think, was distributed by Universal, but it was a Studio Canal production. I think I'm right in that. But it's just... other than Inland Empire, which may be his least accessible technically, aside from Eraserhead, maybe. He really, though, he changed the way that we look at films. For better or worse for some people, for me, better. You know, so anyway, let me your thoughts. Tell me what you think. What do you think about David Lynch? If you are a new subscriber, thank you. If you are already a subscriber, please hit the notification bell for future uploads. And this is Jerry Saravia at the Movies, signing off.